Before I get on with the review, I need to clarify what HD Edition stands for. Diamond Select Toys and Art Asylum have produced 4 variants of the classic U.S.S. Enterprise design. The first comes from the unaired pilot episode titled The Cage. The second version that they released is the one that was seen in the actual series debut episode, Where No Man Has Gone Before. That's the version that we see pretty much through the whole series. Yeah, they kind of tweaked the filming models as they went along, but that was the version that we saw pretty much the whole time. The third one is the Mirror Universe version, in which case it is the ISS Enterprise for the Terran Empire. The fourth version is this one, which is the HD Edition. Now, the HD Edition is unique in that it appears exclusively in the remastered episodes of Star Trek: The Original Series. The remastered episodes of Star Trek: The Original Series began airing in 2006. And basically what these do is they replace all of the original special effects that were photographed in 1966 with computer-generated versions. This allows not only for a finer level of detail to be produced for a modern-day audience, but also allows them to clean up continuity errors. The thing you have to understand about the original series is that it was filmed literally on a shoestring budget. I mean, this show had no money whatsoever. That's why when you hear the deflector shields turn on, when you hear the impulse engines activate, when you hear the warp drive activate, you hear the same sound effect. I mean, they had no money to work with whatsoever. And so the remastered episodes allow them to clean up at least the special effects. Now, don't think it's just brand new, flashy, blah, 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 blah. The cinematography that's used for the special effects is done in such a way to replicate and recreate the effects as if they were filmed originally in 1966. So while each image is more or less shot for shot, you're getting new angles of things. You're getting camera views from up here. You're getting camera angles from down here. You're getting camera angles from over here that would have been possible in 1966 had they the money to do so. Of course, in order to accomplish this, they had to build a CGI version of the Enterprise. The HD Edition Enterprise is based specifically on the computer model that you see in the remastered episode. And so, because this is the HD Edition, it's going to have some details on it that you're not going to see on any of the others. I don't own any of the other classic Enterprise sets that Diamond Select Toys has released, so I've had to go online and just do comparisons on YouTube and Flickr and all those other sites. I'm hoping that I found all the differences. If I haven't, I'm sure I'll be reminded of it in the comments. Thank you very much. So far as I can tell, the HD Edition differs externally in one big way. And that is the lines that you see here, which are also printed out just like any of the other, they're not decals, but they've been stamped on. Well, these lines here and the circular lines, they are all new for the HD Edition. Also new to the HD Edition is this ribbon of kind of darker gray. This has also been printed on as well. It's not painted. Really, that is the only variation that I've been able to find between the HD Edition and the Standard Edition. The other major difference that I found is in the selection of audio clips that's provided. While some of the following clips are common to all of them, other clips have been shortened or there are new versions here. Notice there that he didn't finish the word planets. It's supposed to be United Federation of Planets. I haven't seen the episode where he says that, so I'm not sure if he actually does get cut off, or if that's just Diamond Select Toys goofing up a little.
James Kirk, commanding the Starship Enterprise. This is Scott, ready to transport.
Well, I'm quite impressed with the proportions, the audio clips, the LEDs that they use, and the general appearance. For a Diamond Select Toys set, this one has quite a few quality control issues with it. I'm actually rather surprised. For example, you can see right here on the leading edge, the plastic here started to warp, or it warped. And keep in mind, all these things I found when I opened the box. Like, nothing has changed since then. You can see the plastic warped upwards, either during manufacturing or shipping, something like that. It's too fine a mistake to see on the video here, crappy video quality, but these lines were they're actually printed on in kind of pie wedges, pie-shaped wedges or something like that. You know, only a couple of lines, and then they lather, rinse, repeat. Anyways, you can probably see it best on the darker band here. The lines, everything's misaligned. All the pie wedges, like no two are exactly perfectly aligned. Some of the paint on this one is actually smudged a little bit. There's actually a fingerprint right up there. You could probably run a fingerprint scan off that thing and find out who the immigrant worker was. I'm kidding. I'm kidding. No hate mail, please. Let's see, I gotta think here. You can see the printed pattern here. It's actually faded. Let's see, I gotta get where a shadow isn't. Yeah, you can see it's nice and dark over here, very clearly well defined. But over here you can see it fades towards the edge. You can also see here there's actually quite a big gap, because I'm not sure, I'm not going to push any harder, but the plastic was separated the whole time. Something else, they're actually very good with screw covers on these things. Like, you can see a screw cover here and here, but they forgot one there. The other thing, the screw covers in general, they don't blend very well. Whereas on the nacelles, even though you can find them, they're very well blended, very clean. So I think somebody just tapped them in a little too far. Let's see, what else is there? Oh yeah, these tube-like veins, they're not molded in place. I actually had to glue them on or whatever it is. Well, not only can you see a ton of glue on each of these, but some of these, you can actually see, they didn't fit them on very well. So, like these are supposed to have gaps on them, but these here have gaps that are not supposed to be there. So, yeah, that's another problem I have is with the display stand, in that the ball and socket joint here is not very strong at all. So it has a frequent tendency to flip over. And the problem is, the way the stand is designed, you can't compensate by tilting it this way. So you're always at risk of having it tilting over, hence having to use the texture of the wall behind in order to hold it in place and hope it stays where it is. It's in the right place to balance things, it's just the ball and socket is very unstable down there. But really, these are little things. You have to keep in mind that this is the 4th repaint that they've done of this same set. So things like warping plastic, things not being attached correctly, those are probably due to molds that are being used a lot. I mean, I don't know how the toy manufacturing industry works. I'm out of that loop. But I'm guessing that some of this is just due to old molds and lack of quality control over time. It's not that big a deal with me, okay? I mean, that right there is probably the biggest complaint I've got. I can overlook this little split in the plastic here, okay? That's no big deal. There are, however, 2 engineering flaws I've noticed. The first one is in the stand, the ball and socket there. Again, not that big a deal. While the display stand is kind of nice, I mean, it looks cool, looks kind of streamlined, things like that, but it's very thin. And the thing that worries me, particularly in how this is assembled, oh yeah, by the way, look how easily I popped that apart. The thing that worries me is one of these times it's going to become just loose enough and then it's going to whack like that. So this should be able to snap in place. Instead it just uses friction and you kind of wedge it in there. I also wish the plastic had been a little thicker here, because it does lean side to side. I mean, it can support the weight, but it makes me nervous, okay? the other. And this is just a problem that's inherent to any, the Classic Enterprise, the Refit Enterprise, the Enterprise B, which was an Excelsior class, is that the pylons here are real long, real narrow, and then it's got these really long nacelles that hang out back here. Both terms that apply to more than just Star Trek, by the way. I'm not going to risk it too much, but you can see how easily that twists right there? And that's a combination of things. That's, needs to be strengthened here, needs to be strengthened here. That's a combination of things. So it does warp quite a bit, no pun intended, right there. So those are two big things that I have a problem with. Now, on the other hand, what's the word I'm looking for? The Playmate Toys version of the Classic Enterprise was actually a couple of inches bigger than this one. It was actually larger, but the difference is that was an actual toy made to be handled by kids. This is clearly a collector's piece, so it's meant to sit on the shelf for long periods of time. It's supposed to look good. It's supposed to look screen accurate. The Playmates Toys version from the 90s, by the way, had a lot of black and dark gray plastic in kind of weird places. There were limited sound effects back here, and only the Bassard collectors lit up, and that was it. On the other hand, it did have a nice display stand, and you didn't have to worry about the nacelles bouncing back and forth. But again, that was a toy meant for kids to handle, for kids to bump it around. This is slightly smaller, but I would like to see some structural integrity fields added in these regions. Ironically enough, the problem with the display stand and with the warp nacelles is not a problem with... Whoa, don't fall over. Is not a problem with the 2009 rebuild. Remake. I'm sorry. This same ship, different eras, different continuities, okay? Supposedly different continuities. While the display stand has a ball and socket joint, it's actually got good friction on it. You can tilt it. I did a whole review on this, by the way, but you can tilt this Enterprise any direction you want, okay? Not a big deal. You can also take it off a lot easier. However, the gap is always there. There's actually a panel for the battery compartment that you can take off of the Classic Enterprise, and you can swap it for a version that doesn't have a hole in it. With the toy, no, that hole is always there. Anyways, the display stand, at least it's got some thickness to it. It's not going to go anywhere. The other thing you don't have to worry about is the nacelles don't shift as much. Hell, they don't shift at all. And that's probably because, it's got a reinforced pylons down here, nice and thick up here, which actually it's not. You can see it's actually got some thickness to it. So, ironically enough, I don't know if Playmate Toys and Diamond Select Toys were making them at the same time, but aside from the size of the display stand, I've got them both up against the wall right now, and these two are actually the same size. Now, granted, this version is 1,000 feet long. This version's about 700 feet long. So, actually, I think this version is 1,200 feet from front to back. I mean, the scale of this thing is a whole lot bigger. Even though it's meant to be the same ship, designed for a different era of moviegoer, of course, this ship is actually a whole lot bigger. Like, you could stick this entire ship would only cover the distance of the saucer, okay? That's how big this is supposed to be. But yeah, I'm not reviewing Movie Enterprise. I already reviewed Movie Enterprise. I'm here to review the Classic Enterprise design. It has a... Yeah, right there. You see the ball and socket fill. Okay, this is annoying. You know what I do? Sometimes I'll just turn it off to the side. There we go. That works. Sometimes you can see the stand is pointing straight forward, but I've got this turned at an angle. Sometimes that works. Sometimes. So, yeah, I'm wasting a lot of time here, aren't I? That's because it's kind of a crappy stand. I found out about Diamond Select Toys replicas in 2009 when I ran across their Classic Communicator and Classic Science Tricorder. I got those things, and wow, for $50 and $35 respectively, those things are pretty incredible. But then I found out about their Starship Legends line, which this ship is part of, and I knew I just had to get a couple of them. Yes, I am looking for a couple of the others. While getting a quote-unquote toy version of the Classic Enterprise would have been nice, this collector's edition is not a bad thing. Yeah, I've got minor issue with warp engine nacelles and with the displacement, but really that's it. All the other little details that are on here I just take as minor defects. Like, I got the short end of the stick with this specific item. I don't think it's an issue across the entire line, so I wouldn't give it really a second thought. And I haven't really heard anybody else complain about it to this point. One of the things I really like about it, though, is that it is indeed a display piece. You press down on the bridge for a couple seconds, and now you actually have to hold it down. Don't press and let go immediately, but you have to hold it down. The lights just turn on and off, which is really nice. So you could put this on your shelf when your friends come over and have all these lights going. Yeah, it doesn't have 3 or 4 lights inside the Bussard collectors. But one thing that I have been hearing from a lot of people is that the navigation dome and the bridge dome up here are unusually bright. You can turn this thing into a night light. This thing is bright enough you can read by it. These LEDs are projecting so far. It's not an issue with the Bussard collectors or with the navigation lights up there. But definitely, you know, tone those down. They're actually quite bright. I was surprised. They're not that bright in this show. Even for the 60s, they were not that bright. As a lifelong Trekkie, I'm putting my full recommendations behind the Diamond Select Toys Classic Enterprise design. Now granted, my opinion is based on seeing only the HD edition, but for a repaint, it does quite well. And so, this is Ava Unit 4A for CollectionDX.com.